prior written notice is a written explanation of the proposals and/or refusals within a student's IEP. It explains why actions were proposed or refused, other options considered, and an explanation of why any options were rejected. The prior written notice provides parents with a written notice of the ARD committee proposal to carry out an action that affects their child. It details the decisions that have been recommended in the ARD meeting. The prior written notice allows parents time to seek resolution if they disagree with an ARD decision. The school must provide parent prior written notice at least 5 school days before implementation of the IEP, unless parent agrees to a shorter time frame. If an ARD committee agrees to recess, then a PWN is not required until the final determinations are made at the reconvened ARD committee meeting. The ARD committee must provide prior written notice in the language understandable to the general public and in the native language of the parent or other mode of communication used by the parent, unless it is clearly not feasible to do so. Spelling out acronyms or rewording or clarifying with parentheses may be helpful to support understanding of the actions proposed and/or refused. If it is sent after the meeting, why is it called prior? Because it is prior to the decisions being acted upon, prior to the actions taking place. However, it is not prior to the ARD meeting or to the discussion's decisions. Remember, the purpose of the prior written notice is to document decisions made by the ARD committee and is intended to give parents adequate notice before the decision is implemented. What kinds of actions might be described on a prior written notice? Goals, related services, disability category, ESY, placement, accommodations and modifications, FBP and FBA, testing. If you are unsure if an item warrants a prior written notice, you should err on the side of caution and include it. It is better to include it when not needed versus needing it and not having one. Let's take a look at the different elements within a prior written notice. The prior written notice screen within Frontline has 5 different sections that allow the case manager to input their information. The first box is where the case manager describes the action proposed or refused by the school, as well as the explanation of why the school proposed or refused the action. The description provided should be written as a statement that is factually grounded or informative, rather than being written in a vague, generic, and normative format. If the teacher has clearly explained in Box 1 the rationale for the proposed and/or refused actions, the teacher can input the words, "See above," in Box 2. In Box 3, the case manager should describe in detail any other options which were considered and why they were rejected. There may be instances in which no other options were considered. If so, avoid using the phrases "no other options considered," "none," or "not applicable" without an explanation. Box 4. If a case manager already explained in Box 3 the explanation of why an option was considered and explained the reason it was rejected, case manager can input the words "See above" in Box 4. In Box 5, the case manager should list a description of each evaluation procedure, assessment, record, or report the ARD committee used as a basis for the proposed or refused action. Lastly, in Box 6, the case manager should input a description of any other factors that are relevant to the ARD committee's proposal or refusal. Please avoid leaving this section blank. It might be useful in this section to use timestamps to indicate that the committee allowed for additional time to discuss and have everyone participate and give input in the decision-making. There is no need to review or read through the PWN at the closing of the ARD. If a parent would like to create a statement, please encourage them to do so and attach the document to the ARD. Here is an example of what might be added to Box 1 on the PWN. Please keep in mind these are just examples. Each PWN will look a little different, but most should at least include that there was an agreement on goals, schedule of services, and if the student will receive related services. In Box 2, which states explanations of why actions were proposed, this should now be included in Box 1. Box 3. Share options that were considered and why. This box is where you would indicate something that might have been considered, and then after the discussion, the committee agreed it was not needed. Box 4. We can share information about what would need to be done between disagreed ARD and the reconvene. In Box 5, you want to list all information or data that was considered in proposing or making the decisions made at the ARD. Here are some examples, but this is not an exhaustive list. The Other box may contain any other factor that was discussed at the ARD. These factors would not be associated with a decision that was made. Remember, every student's PWN should be individualized. Take some time to relax now and try to remember these 3 key points. Document all decisions. Use understandable language. Always include parent participation. Thank you for participating in the Prior Written Notice Training. If you have any questions or concerns, please do not hesitate to reach out to your campus coordinator.